the web, starting with ongoing anti-government protests in Venezuela.
For the past 2 weeks, Venezuela has been rocked by anti-government protests against soaring inflation and rampant crime. Opposition demonstrators have taken to the streets and also to the web, where critics of Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, have been sharing messages testifying to the rising tensions in the country. Protesters have been making great use of the hashtags SOS Venezuela and Pray for Venezuela, describing how the government has used violence against them and asking the international community for help. They've also been sharing numerous photos showing what they describe as the excessive use of police force to quell the protests. Government supporters, however, absolutely reject these allegations and say opposition demonstrators are responsible for the violence, in which at least 3 protesters have died. Indeed, supporters of Nicolas Maduro have been posting under the Venezuela Unida contra el Fascismo hashtag, which translates into English as Venezuela United Against Fascism, saying protesters are working for foreign powers wanting to destabilise the country. The pro-Maduro claim the anti-government demonstrators are being assisted by international media and are spreading false information online to get web users the world over on side. 32-year-old Australian breast cancer survivor Beth Wang posed for a series of photos called Under the Red Dress, which she posted to Facebook to show the changes to her body following cancer treatment and surgery and raise awareness of the disease. Striking images that have stirred up very mixed reactions online. The shots were clearly not to everyone's taste. Beth Wang has said that more than 100 people have unfriended her since posting the pictures to the social network. But she has also received massive support, with over 30,000 web users joining the project's Facebook page, praising her bravery and thanking her for the photos, which many believe will help other women struggling with their own cancer journeys. And some women are now following the Brisbane mother's example, posing for photos showing their post-surgery bodies and sharing their cancer stories. The project has proved so popular that Beth Wanger and photographer Nadia Mazot are now looking for other people prepared to bear their cancer scars so they can continue to raise awareness. Canadian actress Ellen Page came out as a lesbian on Friday at a Las Vegas conference for gay teens, organised by the NGO Human Rights Campaign. And she's been trending on social networks since. Countless web users have praised Ellen Page for going public about her sexuality, saying it will help inspire others to do the same. As storms and flooding continue to batter the UK, this map shows half the British Isles underwater in the 2100s. No need for panic, however. This map has been posted to the DeviantArt website and was put together by Slovak graphic designer known online as Jay Simons. It shows what the British Isles could look like with a 100-metre rise in sea levels, but there is absolutely no scientific basis for this assumption. American photographer Kerry Skabaka has captured himself in moments of suspended peril in a self-portrait series entitled The Struggle to Right Oneself. The pictures are available to view on his website and show him tumbling down a flight of stairs headfirst, for example, or falling off a ladder, or teetering on the edge of a bridge. The artist has staged these shots as a representation of human existence, a process of perpetual falling, and the responsibility and will in each of us to catch ourselves and hold on. Here's the latest offering from someone who's no stranger to web users, Devin Graham, aka Devin Supertramp. And this time he's dreamt up a spot of human bowling. And you can check it out in this adrenaline-packed video.
Did you see the high kick? Pretty cool body.
we go, some ideas for your next snow day off work there. We're going to move on to business news here on Live from Paris. I'm joined by Stephen Carroll here in the studio. Hello.
Hello, Catherine.
We're going to be starting off here in France with attractiveness, a very popular topic in France, but attractiveness to business investors.
Indeed, Francois Hollande was doing his best to try and seduce foreign companies when he brought them to the Élysée Palace yesterday. 34 executives, in fact, from international companies that he'd brought to try to convince them that France is a good place to do business. Now, to do that, he unveiled a series of new measures which is going to help those companies. They include fast-track visa applications as quick as 48 hours. The president had promised for investors less red tape for new businesses, and in particular, foreseeability or predictability in terms of tax. It's a common complaint from companies working in France. They don't know how much tax is going to go up by. And the third main element the president proposed was new grants to help start-up businesses here in France of up to €25,000. Let's take a listen to the reaction of some of those executives who were at this meeting.
I trust that the climate will improve. It should. France is successful and wants to remain successful.
Taxes are a problem, but there has been a major commitment today to re-look and to make the regime friendly.
Okay, well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we, see if the foreign investors come flooding over to France. We're going to move on to a French company now, though, that's hoping to sign off on a very big investment deal with a Chinese company. Yeah,
in fact, a very coincidental timing. This foreign investment should come just the day after that Attractiveness Council meeting. The board of Peugeot Citroën, the car maker, the supervisory board, I should say, will meet later today. They're expected to sign off on a cash injection from China's Dongfeng worth €800 million. Dongfeng will take a 14% stake in the company. That's going to be matched by a 14% stake taken by the French government, which is pledged to keep the company in French hands. All of this will reduce the amount of influence that the Peugeot family has over the company, but Dongfeng's investment is a very big change for the car maker. For more on this, let's go to Beijing and speak to our correspondent there, Paul James. Paul, thank you for joining us. Can I ask you, first of all, just to explain to us who are Dongfeng and what will bring them to France?
Well, Dongfeng is one of the so-called big three automakers here in China. They were formed in the late 1960s, early 1970s as basically a heavy machinery manufacturer. But over the years and through the 1980s, Dongfeng switched up its focus a little bit and shifted towards smaller vehicle manufacturing. And through that time, they developed quite a bit of smaller joint ventures with a lot of international car companies like Saab, Volvo, the like. You go down the list, GM, and quite a bit, but smaller investments. Not nearly the scope that we're talking about here, the 800 billion euros. And so now for Dongfeng, this represents an opportunity to really create a brand for themselves and get themselves out there on the international market a little bit more. Of course, a couple of years ago, a Chinese car company called Geely made a big splash when they bought out the Volvo brand. And so I think the prevailing theory here is that Dongfeng is trying to do the same thing and get themselves involved with a very reputable international car company. The question is, how well are the investors going to enjoy this? The shares in Hong Kong have been frozen today, pending the announcement tomorrow. So we'll see how investors like it. But as far as the company is concerned, I think the Dongfeng Motors is going to be fairly happy with how this worked out for them.
It's quite a big deal, really, for them, isn't it? They've been trying to get into Peugeot Citroën for quite a while. Is this going to be a big relief for the company's management? They've managed to do this deal in the end?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's been a long and sort of drawn-out process, and Dongfeng has been associated with not just PSA, but of course General Motors and the like for a number of years here in China. So the anticipation is that with this, they'll, like I said, they'll increase their brand and get themselves out there a little bit more. The bigger question, though, is that how big of a hit is this going to take on the books? I mean, 800 billion euros or million euros, pardon me, is nothing to sneeze at, particularly for a company that has revenues of around 1.4 billion in net income per year. So it will be a big hit on the bottom line for them. But the question is, how will they be able to use it? Will they be able to associate themselves with the brands a little bit more and get themselves to a point where they become an international brand that they want to be?
OK, Paul James in Beijing, thank you for that. Of course, we'll be following that meeting throughout the day when Peugeot Citroën's supervisory board meets in Paris later on. Just a little bit of good news, though, for that company before we leave this story. New figures out from the European Union today on new car registrations show that sales at PSA rose 7.4% in January compared to the previous year. Shares in Renault, also the other big French car maker, of course, also up 13.4%. An overall increase in the EU in January, but things slightly looking up for the company at this stage.
OK, is that having an impact on the markets then?
Well, as Paul was just telling us, those shares in Dongfeng suspended in trading in Hong Kong today. A quick look, though, at what's happening elsewhere on the Asian markets. In Shanghai, shares are down by about 0.6% at the moment. Fairly flat trading in Hong Kong and in South Korea. The Nikkei in Japan, a very bright spot on the horizon, though, up over 3% after that decision for the Bank of Japan to continue with its accommodative monetary policy.
OK, something a little bit more frivolous before you leave us, Stephen. Do tell us, ABBA, the supergroup, I always thought that their outfits were just dodgy, but it turns out they were actually tax dodgy.
Oh, quite. In a new book to mark 40 years since Eurovision, they won the Eurovision with Waterloo, Bjorn from ABBA has revealed the outlandish costumes were also, in fact, useful for tax reasons because they were able to write them off thanks to a provision of the Swedish tax code. He said, in his honest opinion, they looked nuts, but nobody could have been as badly dressed on stage as they were, but also for good financial reasons too.
It's quite a cute tax dodge as tax dodges go, isn't it? I think
Quite.
we can probably forgive them all
When
this
it takes
time
it all.
afterwards as well. Thanks very much, Stephen Carroll there with the day's business news. We're going to take a short break, but coming up in focus, taxi wars. We'll be meeting the Parisian cab drivers who say they're ready to fight to protect their right to rule the road.